Cut the commute and up the convenience for your next dermatologist visit. Non-segmental vitiligo patients 12 and older can virtually discuss repigmentation with Opzelura ruxolitinib cream as soon as today. Get started on your pursuit for repigmentation with topical Opzelura. Visit Opzelura.com to connect with a derm to see if Opzelura is right for you. Provider availability may vary. For patients taking therapeutic biologics, other JAK inhibitors, or strong immunosuppressants such as cyclosporin, Opzelura is not recommended.
Opzelura can lower your ability to fight infections. Tell your doctor if you have or had an infection, TB, hepatitis B or C, blood clots in your legs or lungs, heart attack, stroke, cancer, high cholesterol, are a smoker, or pregnant. Opzelura may cause serious lung infections, certain cancers, immune system problems, blood clots, and low blood cell counts. Major cardiovascular events or death occurred in those 50 plus taking oral JAK inhibitors. The most common side effects were acne and itching where applied.
Call 866-564-8484 to learn more about prescription Opzelura for non-segmental vitiligo.
Sweetheart, what about this one?
Nah, fam. That's a little sus.
Shopping with teenagers can be hard, between figuring out what they like and what they mean. But with Walmart, at least shopping for their next pair of glasses is easy. With the Walmart app, you can virtually try on frames at home, upload prescriptions, and get new glasses delivered right to your door. It's an easier way to get stylish glasses they'll actually like.
Now these new glasses, total vibes.
Buying new glasses has a new look. Welcome to your Walmart. Valid prescription required.
You will be like God.
Human unity. God was severed, and through it all, God's promise remained true.
Follow me, Abram, and I will make you great.
This is the chosen people. Listen to the chosen people at thechosenpeople.com. That's thechosenpeople.com.
Tired of stepping around crumb-covered carpets? What if you could have spotless floors this holiday season without the effort? The new Roomba Combo 10 Max robot will clean up after you and itself. Our most advanced robot vacuum and mop combines powerful pickup suction, smart scrub mopping, and the intelligence to prioritize where to clean. Now, while this ad is coming to an end, our holiday deals are still there for you at iRobot.com.
If your day sounds like
we need the report ASAP,
you deserve Modelo. If you've persevered through
2 more reps, 2 more,
you deserve this ice-cold reward. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Welcome to our paranormal afterlife. This is our paranormal afterlife, and I'm your host Simon Bowen. This week I'm talking to Sherry Pearl and Sonia Rinaldi about their work in spirit communication, where they bring through recorded messages and pictures of spirits. Sonia is an international speaker, author and columnist. She has been participating in research on instrumental transcommunication for over 35 years, obtaining remarkable results in images and voices. As a leading authority in ITC, she has developed new technologies to record extracorporeal consciousness, pioneered the use of computers to record transcontacts, and introduced new devices in the field of transcommunication, including telephone, cell phone, Skype, etc. Sherry is a spiritual healer and counsellor, author, teacher, and interfaith minister. She has studied with many great mediums and healers and has a doctorate in therapeutic counselling. You can enjoy the extended version of this episode ad-free, along with over 100 hours of extended episodes on Patreon. Hi Sherry and Sonia, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast.
You're very welcome. We're both so happy to be here. Thank you.
We're going to talk about electronic voice phenomenon and instrumental transcommunication. I believe you started off with EVPs and you moved on to video and pictures later. So could I ask Sonia, how did you first start doing all this stuff?
Well, I started long ago, about 40 years ago, because in truth, the reason was that I was not sure if what I learned in my Catholic school could make sense, that there was just heaven and hell and nothing else. And by the opposite, maybe if the life could go on, it would be something amazing. I would be, so anxious to discover that. And then I heard by that time that in Europe, people started recording voice, mainly in Germany and Luxembourg. And then I said, oh, if this happens, well, it is approved. So I started testing also. And it took me 3 years until I could listen something. But possibly it was because I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know what I had to listen. Finally, one day, after 3 years testing, I heard very clearly and very loud from the radio someone shouting, water, water. And then I said, oh, this cannot be coming from the radio. No station will shout the word water. Water. So I said, okay, let's move on now. And then later I changed to images, and then I met Sherry and so.
And there's all sorts of techniques, isn't there, with the EVPs? Is it something where you kind of have to provide something that the spirits can manipulate to produce the sound? You don't have silence while you're doing it.
Well, I'll answer that and say that initially, as I first learned about it, it was my understanding that you simply had to provide some form of sound that spirit would influence with thought. Of late, we have found that when we're making Zoom recordings and sometimes what I call spontaneous EVPs or spontaneous messages, things come through that we did not provide sound for, where spirit has just decided to use the instruments. Yes, we have many techniques. And when it comes to images, Sonia has given me ideas from using spray of water into the sun to, all kinds of ways to capture an image. But I will play for you things that have shown up totally spontaneously, without any of that kind of preparation, but an instrument was used. For example, I've gotten EVP messages through voicemails. I didn't set up sound for that, but they somehow manipulated the sound. That's apparent. I know of a woman who's a medium who, when she does readings for clients, she goes back through the recording. She does it on Zoom, and where there was silence, originally where she's not speaking, you'd hear little sounds that she would then augment and find EVPs. So we're now finding that if you got these devices, you don't necessarily, the spirit will enjoy them and play with them in ways. For example, my friend Vicky Talbot and I, who's, Vicky, she's in the movie Calling Earth. She's an early researcher too. She and I were texting about Seth, who wrote the books with Jane Roberts, Seth Speaks, Seth Material. We were texting about Seth. And all of a sudden, we both got a symbol on our phone that looked like when someone sends you a recorded message. So we both said, did you send me a recorded message? No. And so we thought, So I played it into my computer and recorded it so I could make it louder and listen to it. And I hope you will be heard.
Yeah. Hello, Jack.
Seth. Hello, Seth.
Yeah. Hello, Jack. Yeah. Hello, Jack.
Did he come through?
Yeah.
So you see, we texting about Seth. How interesting. Because she read the books and I was in the classes. So we got a lot to talk about. And then this spontaneously appears. And had I not recorded it into Audacity, which is the recording program I have on my computer, I would have lost it because it eventually dropped off my phone, disappeared. But so you have to provide, ordinarily, if we're going to do something for someone, we're going to run sound because we can count on it. It's incredible. Can they do it without that? They can. They're quite incredible.
Yeah, because I was going to ask about that voice there. That's not a spirit talking into a microphone, is it? There's something else going on?
Well, what I've been told, and this is by Craig Hogan, because I have a couple of my son in his own voice. And often when I will do a reading, a parent will say, well, 2 or 3 of them were in Jim's voice, but not all of them. And I said, what? What is going on? And he said, well, look, Sherry, they're not talking through their mouths because they're not in bodies, but they're wonderful technicians. And Sonia knows more about this than me, and that they have their own stations on that side. And they have learned to use thought to change the sound provided. So I guess they've also learned to use thought through Zoom recordings and voicemails to somehow take the energy that's provided in instrumental like transcommunication, and manipulate it in a way we don't know how to do. Because if we were going to make a recording of our old Beatle albums, in our cars for our cassettes, we would get the Beatle album. It didn't change. That's how I knew something else was going on than me just playing around with sound, because I don't know how to do that step. All I know how to do is set up conditions that might make it possible. So Sonia's always been very clear. She's working with a team. She's not taking the steam and the lights and doing that. She's just creating conditions that spirit can work with. And they work with her because she's so sincere and dedicated. They'll never find another worker like Sonia.
And so with the EVPs, then the voice, you sometimes provide that background. And there's something, you have English gibberish or Portuguese gibberish? What's that?
We can use anything. If I can use my finger scratching on the computer, I can use anything. But gibberish is made, well, there's different methods, but the idea is you could have someone read from a book, and then you would have it chopped up so that you don't hear words anymore that are recognizable. Sonia calls it unbuilding it. And I think she has someone who helps her to cut out words. I use something called EVP Maker. That's a software that you can only download on a PC for some reason. And you can run a recording of someone speaking through, I would record someone reading, and then I would take that recording and run it through EVP Maker, and it just chops it. So you're not getting real words. And so, but the background is still coming from human vocal. So, which is why I feel it produces a far more human sounding EVP. So if you're doing readings, like one thing I did once, and I love it, when my grandson, who's going to be 10, was 2, counted to 20 for me. He's really young, and it was like 1, 2, 3. And then I put it through EVP Maker. And I have what I call toddler gibberish. And he only did was count to 20, and then it got broken up. So when I get an I love you, it's remarkable. But what's so sweet is it sounds like a little kid, So, of course, that's really helpful to the heart of a mom who lost someone young. So I know, Sonia, I heard one years ago that was supposedly came through you, where a little girl said, Mommy, I can speak. I heard that. That was it. I was hooked. I had to learn to do this if this was possible. Because how incredible.
Was there one, do you have right now, somebody asked their son to say something in English because you were using the Portuguese gibberish?
Sonia sent me some gibberish. By the way, she's the most generous and sharing. Anyone that really wants to learn, she will tell you whatever she's trying. Anyone that would say different doesn't know Sonia. Anyway, Sonia sent me this gibberish of a little boy named Lorenzo, and this is Portuguese gibberish. It sounds like this.
Na escola fala português, vamos descobrir sobre, pois você vai ser o professor.
So I asked my son if he could say something to me in English using the Portuguese. Now, I hope it's let's just see which recording is.
I speak in English. I speak in English.
Unfortunately, I don't have a longer recording in this slideshow where you actually hear the gibberish and then you hear me say something to me in English so I know if I can use this. And then when I heard that,
I speak in English.
Say something to me in English to let me know I should use this.
I speak in English.
Because here we had started with Portuguese gibberish to begin with. But you see how the sound of the voice reflects Lorenzo's speaking voice? Here's Lorenzo's gibberish, and it's like,
Na escola fala português, vamos descobrir.
certain sound that the voice has. And then
I speak in English.
English, but to me, it has the intonation of the little boy's voice. So the sound you use affects the sound of the EVP because that's what you're giving them to work with. But you could try anything.
Cut the commute and up the convenience for your next dermatologist visit. Non-segmental vitiligo patients 12 and older can virtually discuss repigmentation with Opzelura ruxolitinib cream as soon as today. Get started on your pursuit for repigmentation with topical Opzelura. Visit Opzelura.com to connect with a derm to see if Opzelura is right for you. Provider availability may vary. For patients taking therapeutic biologics, other JAK inhibitors, or strong immunosuppressants such as cyclosporin, Opzelura is not recommended.
Opzelura can lower your ability to fight infections. Tell your doctor if you have or had an infection, TB, hepatitis B or C, blood clots in your legs or lungs, heart attack, stroke, cancer, high cholesterol, are a smoker, or pregnant. Opzelura may cause serious lung infections, certain cancers, immune system problems, blood clots, and low blood cell counts. Major cardiovascular events or death occurred in those 50 plus taking oral JAK inhibitors. The most common side effects were acne and itching where applied.
Call 866-564-8484 to learn more about prescription Opzelura for non-segmental vitiligo.
Sweetheart, what about this one?
Nah, fam. That's a little sus.
Shopping with teenagers can be hard, between figuring out what they like and what they mean. But with Walmart, at least shopping for their next pair of glasses is easy. With the Walmart app, you can virtually try on frames at home, upload prescriptions, and get new glasses delivered right to your door. It's an easier way to get stylish glasses they'll actually like.
Now these new glasses, total vibes.
Buying new glasses has a new look. Welcome to your Walmart. Valid prescription required.
You will be like God.
Human unity with God was severed, and through it all, God's promise remained true.
Follow me, Abram, and I will make you great.
This is the chosen people. Listen to the chosen people at thechosenpeople.com. That's thechosenpeople.com.
Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Sign up for Greenlight today at greenlight.com/podcast.
So how did EVPs get discovered? Who was the first person to work it out, or was it an accident?
Well, yeah, I think it was. But do you want to talk about Friedrich Jürgensen? Or would you like, it's up?
I think we have to go back to Thomas Edison. He was the first to think. In truth, he didn't succeed. Neither Tesla, that was living at the same time, but both thought and published about the hope of listening to the dead. Mainly this happened because it was the time of the First World War, and obviously lots of people were dying in the war. So Thomas Edison was the first. He thought, I'll be able to build a device that will be sensible enough to just to talk, because that time it didn't exist recorders yet. So he thought that, he said that in interviews for newspapers, but he didn't succeed. Neither Tesla. So I think that human technology had to develop until the years 50, when electronic started happening here. And then these made possible the first communications. There existed the tape recorders, and all these developed it to the point that we are now. As Sherry said, that we can use simply a cell phone. But about 50 years ago were the first recordings, even that Thomas Edison had thought of these before.
Mm-hmm. My understanding was a filmmaker in Europe, Friedrich Jürgensen, took an early tape recorder outside to record the sound of nature for a movie background. And when he brought it into his office and listened back, he heard human voices. And that was when they started to, realize that these machines could pick up. And look, we can film orbs with our phone camera that I don't see with my eye. Sonia always filming things. When we were at that conference, I was watching Sonia taking pictures in every direction where light was landing on something, because she knows that in the right configuration, you can get faces on the wall. I mean, it's very playful, but it's fascinating how it started. I'll tell you a very incredible story. I have a bereaved father that I counsel who's a line man. That means like he goes up poles to fix the power when the power goes out. And he's like in that little bucket, at the top of a pole. And the guys never take their phones with them. But this particular day, he said these poles were so far apart, the guys decided to put their phones in their back pocket in case they had to call something to each other. It's fairly dangerous up there, he's telling me. When they put the power back on, he said they're all scared. So anyway, I'm home and his phone keeps ringing me and I pick up and it's obviously what we call a butt call over here in the States, where the phone just called you and he's not there. I can hear he's somewhere, but he's not aware it's happening. And then my own son calls and I'm on the phone and I see this man's number again ringing. And something in my head said, just hit go to voicemail. So I hit go to voicemail and I let it record. The first few, he said, sound like his son Cole. But the first one, and I don't have it in this slideshow, it's a relatively new one. I can find it for you sometime, but it says, we're on the phone. Dad, the phone came through his pocket. So yes, they've got the power, and they can use these things. And Sonia's right. They knew it intellectually, but when we got the instruments, then they were set free.
Do you think that there's also stuff that gets recorded from the past in a way? I saw a documentary, this must be 30 years ago on British TV. There was this guy who was a surveyor and he went to an old Royal Air Force base that was shut down. So there was no one there. And he had the little dictaphone recorder and he went through and he was recording himself as he went through all the buildings. And he went back to the office. And when he was in the canteen area, and again, there was no one there, he played it back and he could hear all the sounds of the canteen, people talking and cutlery and, all that kind of thing. So I wonder is there a kind of thing where there's active recording the spirits do, and then there's maybe passive recording, it just picks it up somehow, something from the past?
Obviously it can, because you saw it in the film. It's not something we commonly think about, that I think about. My intent is I want to make a connection between somebody who's missing somebody on both sides. So I don't really think about that. But theoretically, time is something we experience as a series of moments while in this frame. And that anyone who's had a near death will tell you as soon as they stepped out of the frame, time did not exist in the way it does here. So I find those concepts, I understand it intellectually. I think it's very possible that Seth used to say all time is simultaneous. It's at some point it's all happening at once. And although I understand intellectually what that means, we still experience time as a series of moments. It's hard to experience that. But is it possible? Sure. I mean, what do we know about time?
And with the sound recordings of the EVPs, do you think it's really difficult for the spirits to do, or it's quite simple for them?
What do you think, Sonia? I have my opinions, but I would love to hear Sonia's opinion. Do you think it's difficult for our teams to do this?
As per my experience, I think that there are at least two ways of the other side to contact us. One is spirits that are around, close to us in a parallel space, but still similar to us. But let's think that great inventors just like Thomas Edison, Tesla, Marconi, and so many others. Obviously, in the other side, they would like to go on with their experiences, but not being here around Earth. So, as we know, there are transmission stations in many astral cities so that they can use technology to approach to us. So, for instance, we are talking about EVP today, but, and yes, EVP can happen here around us, as Sherry said, and they can use any type of sound that we produce. As she said, sometimes she was just moving the fingers or something like that. This is a sound for them. So they could reorganize the molecules and make it to sound like a voice for us. But the other side is making a big effort to transmit in a more safe and more perfect way, which will be through their device. So, for instance, we can talk about EVPs here around, from loved ones, from people that are close to us that still are around. But I think images, you cannot make it happen if you are not using huge technology, which is the case of the transmission station that is in contact. So I think that through the transmission stations, using pure technology, yes, they can send files, data files, and images, and obviously also sound. So I think that this is ongoing, in progress. So possibly in future, there will be much more connection to the transmission station so that they don't have to speak from here. And I think that it will be a step ahead.
Well, the transmission station, it sounds like a radio station, and I imagine technology, but I suppose it's all energetic there, and it's transmission station is just a useful phrase?
No. Look, we are talking about EVP, as I said, but there are other phenomena that they can produce if they use the technology. For instance, as Sherry know my work, for instance, if you work with images, they are able to send images extracting from your memory. So let's see that, let's suppose that your father would appear. So your father could appear at the age of 40, but also as 30, 20, 15, 10 as a child. So where did they get this? Possibly from the akashical file. So this is possibly truth. So they are accessing and transmitting through technology to our devices. But this is obviously in progress. It is not very common, but I think that every week I publish something and cases. So yes, it is a reality. And this cannot be made, let's say, person to person. This has to be done by technology. And it is a huge technology that humans are still far, but obviously the result itself show that it is something happening that cannot be happening casually. For instance, let's say your mother appears. Who knew her? And she'll be younger and beautiful. What also teaches us that in the other side, we get younger, we recover from the disease. So there's a lot of things that we are learning. And yes, I think there is no doubt that transmission stations are active and trying to contact us.
And just one more thing about transmission stations. Do they have like a Portuguese station, an English station, or is it a kind of thing where it's an energetic communication and there's something else happening to change the language?
Very smart, because it took me a long time to discover about that, and you got it very easily. Yeah, in truth, when I started recording, and it was when I met Sherry for the first time. No, before that I had been in US, and I was recording, and even that I was making a great effort for them to speak anything in English, because I had, for instance, an invitation to go to Georgia, I think, and I didn't want to take examples in Portuguese, because what would that mean for the public? So I said many months before, oh, please say something in English, hello, anything, and nothing. So it took me a long time to learn that, yes, each station is over some countries and is prepared to speak in that language specifically, because all these go through huge biocomputers, the huge devices. So it is not done in person. It is not someone that says something. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to send images, right? You have no way how to transmit an image through, and the image will come inside your computer. So I think that the transmission station have all them something. Let's say, let's compare just for understanding, something like a Google translator for that language. So this device, which I suppose is big, I don't know, is able to speak the language. So that's why initially I was trying, and they only could speak Portuguese because their library was of Portuguese. Later, I think it was in 2014, when they announced that the North Station was in action, yes, I started recording in English, and I think that there was the time that Sherry was already working also. And then we had also another transmission station announced for Europe and for Asia. So those spirits has something like a library for transmitting to us. So that is what you said. Yeah, they can speak Portuguese. And now they work in net. So that, for instance, I can work with the North Station as the South one, because they are working in net. But before that, they were just working individually. So I could only get Portuguese replies.
They had to sort themselves out for you, so it could all work with the different languages.
Yes. Yeah, because it is, let's say, like this. When you die, let's suppose you are Japanese, and then you die. You go to Astral City, which is located over Japan, many of them perhaps. So you'll be received by your relatives that were there before. So it will not be a shock, right? Oh, let's suppose you are from Saudi Arabia, and then you have your own beliefs, and then you die, and then you are received by your friends and relatives that think exactly like you, so it will not be a surprise. So I understand that lots of astral stations are surrounding Earth as per language, as per the group that is incarnated. So yes, there is many for US, for UK, Australia, which is separated from the South for Spanish, Portuguese, etc.
But it's really an interesting phenomenon that I think they are trying. I've done readings where the people I was reading for, the parents in two cases, were they were from India, had Indian dialect, and myself and the person who received the reading felt that a good many of the messages sounded like someone from India, have that specific dialect. And you asked if we think it's hard for them. And I think what Sonia is saying is also that they really are, they are very dedicated. They want this. It's not that it's hard so much as it's a challenge, just like it was for Edison when he was here. But from what we understand, many of the researchers who were very involved here, such as Konstantin Radova and Thomas Edison, do go to stations, do go into that work, because I think they're very concerned about the insanity of the human race, and they are really hope that if we understand that you didn't get away with anything, that at some point you pay the tiller, you might as well be good, for goodness sake, because, I mean, I think that there's an interest in trying to get us to understand that there's an afterlife and there's a reason to consider the deeds that you do. I mean, I think they have real concern, and I also think this was their interest. All of the people's names that we see come up in the working on that side many of them were researchers while they were in their physical life, and so they're also, it may be a challenge, but I think that they also have a purpose and a desire to enlighten us to the bigger picture. And so I think sometimes they probably get frustrated with us. And there are a few people who will put in the time that Sonia will do. So it's time consuming, not so much to make the recording, but to sit there and go through even just a few minutes. And Sonia goes through many minutes of looking from screen to screen till you actually see an image that you recognize as a face. And then to keep going in until you get the clearest images of it, and then clip them off so that their mother might see it. It's hours. So it's not that this is hard for anyone to do. It's not that the technology on our end is complicated. We make recordings, we set things up, fun. It's the auditing and the research of what you get that takes hours, because it doesn't just show up. You have to hear it or see it. So you have to audit. And Sonia puts hours of her life into doing this without charging anyone for this work, just to ease their hearts. So,
hello, Simon here. I conduct past life regression therapy sessions over Zoom, and these sessions can be very insightful and healing. If you go to my website, pastliveshypnosis.co.uk, you can book a free 20-minute consultation where we can discuss what it is you would like to achieve. You'll find the link to my website in the show notes. So how do you get the pictures? What is the process?
Obviously, we don't have the information fully for us. We have, let's say, results, but we don't know precisely how they do it. But as per what I perceive, they use a technology which is absolutely different from ours yet. And it is something like a virtual connection to us, so that they don't have to be close to us, to Earth. They can work from wherever they are in the transmission station, and simultaneously transmit the data for us. Let's say something like a virtual connection, as we would understand better. Obviously, we are not able to do that yet, but they can send that data inside, straight to the computer. And obviously, they can see us, they can listen to us, they can reply. And mainly, they are testing. So I see that lots of young people, kids that died, are taken to their lab, and they send information from the mind, from the memories of these loved ones, so that it is a technical system that we don't know how it can
Sonia,
be processed.
once you set up your steam. I think what Simon wants to know is, like, when we do EVP, if we play sound, we record it, what some of your processes are. You have your steam diffuse, that makes the steam. You project light onto that, correct? And then you record that on your computer as if we would be recording sound. She's recording this little, almost like a light show you set up when you set up your steam, right? Or your reflective cloth. I think he wants to know what do you do, on your end? Like, what do we do?
Oh, in my end, it is easy. It is, let's say, just light or a cloth or steam, as Sherry said. But how they manipulate these, that's what we don't know. But usually, for instance, yesterday, I was making a test and I was using a very simple cloth. And I could see while I was recording that they were making pictures over the cloth. So how do they do that? I have no idea. But at my end, yes, it is, as Sherry said.
Want me to hold up a cloth, a reflective cloth that kind of reflects, and sometimes she'll use cloths with patterns, and she'll put light on it, and then she'll move the cloth a little bit, and you can see a face of an owl start to take form. And it's obviously we don't know how they do that, but what we're doing, we're holding up a cloth. We're putting a recorder. We're setting up a video recorder or a computer recorder to record. Everything has to be recorded. The naked eye rarely will see. Sometimes on reflective cloth, you can see it. But for the most part, recording is the key to capturing it. I mean, what's the point of us seeing it if we can't show it to anyone? If you record, then you go through your recording, bam, she finds something remarkable, and she has. And then you clip that off for others to see. She makes these slideshows every month, showing a picture of a child and then an image of a child that came through. And sometimes it is so remarkable. So, of course, we don't know how to do that.
When you have the video of the cloth or the steam, you have to sit there for hours watching it frame by frame, or do you see the picture for a few seconds?
That's for you, Sonia.
Usually not. Usually you don't see. Sometimes I record some, let's say, because I record the short videos, let's say 2 or 3 minutes. And then I stop and start again, stop and start again. So after all, let's say I would record some 20 minutes. So this is the easy part, as Sherry said. The problem is to verify later and to go frame by frame. Obviously, today I go very fast, but still we'll have to see what is going on. And when they succeeded to form a face and everything that they can do, when the record is done. But yes, the biggest work is later after you record.
Do you have a service? Can people email you and say, can we get a picture of my son or my father?
Yeah, the same way they also ask Sherry for communication, voice communication. Yes. Do it. The idea is that we can use this technology of the other side to help mainly moms that lost their kids, but obviously not all moms. But yes, the idea is to assist people in grief.
And is it something where it usually works? Maybe if 20 people come to you, you can get maybe 18 pictures? Or is it less of that? It's more like you get 5 pictures of the 20 people.
I think she gets them all. I have never had a reading yet where I was real disappointed. I've had some that I was elated, like when a child said, "Say hi to Pedro." And I asked his mother if the child knew a Pedro. And she said, "Oh, yes, that's his dad's name and his brother's name." So then you have that evidential stuff. Then you're just through the roof happy. Or when someone is sure they hear their loved one's voice, or they get an image so crystal beautiful, they just want to frame it. And I still have the one Sonia made for me, and they're treasures. So I have not yet ever felt like I had a complete failure. There was always at least a handful, if not up to 75. Of course, I'm more discriminating now than I was in 2016. I listen now to the original ones and I'm like, yeah, I hear the first 2 words and the last 2 I kind of put in there. You know, I mean, I kind of assumed. You get more discriminating. Now I'll send something that's 2 words rather than be uncertain of 5 or whatever. But clearly, I've never felt, they've never failed us. Right, Sonia? I mean, if someone said, have you ever had someone send you a picture and you just couldn't find any image for that child? Ever?
Let me see. No. Both things may happen because we receive also lots of unknowns.
That's true.
You don't have no idea who they are. And these kids, let's say, also appear to get together with someone that we are expecting, but lots are unknown. And then we publish as a catalog, and many mothers all around the world see the catalogs and write it to us and say, oh, on page 19, this is my son. And then they send a picture for comparison. So both things happen. Either
the child shows up first, even before the parent, and the parent is, I love the unknowns. I think that's so fantastic because, again, we didn't even try. The child came through and the mother went, oh, that's my child. So that's fantastic. But I think what Simon's also asking is, did you ever seek for someone to come through that we haven't yet come through? That has happened? Because with my reading, somebody comes through. And maybe it's not exactly who we hoped it would be, but there's always someone saying, I love you, and we'll take it. I always say, if it feels good to you and you feel the love in it, take it, because who really knows for sure? He's always my son. If he says it's Danny, could somebody be having a good time with me? Absolutely. It's not a perfect science, but you have to have discernment. I learned that the hard way.
Is the pictures of the unknowns, are they online? Can people log into a website and see them?
I can supply to you the link of the recent one of this year, which has 500 people, loved ones that we don't know, and you may share with your public. It'll be a pleasure.
That'd be great. Have you ever had a picture come through that is not like a child or something? It's like the team are doing it. Maybe you get a picture of Edison or Tesla or somebody.
Thomas Edison, no, but Tesla, yes. And it was very curious because at the time that Tesla was alive, all the pictures that exist at the internet are of his time. And he was always serious, no smile, because he was a scientist and he was very respected and he couldn't smile. But when he appeared now, he was smiling, and you can see that it is Tesla, but it is the only one that he's smiling.
Is there anything else that comes through the pictures that you might look at and you might think, well, this seems more like it would be an angel or some kind of spiritual being rather than a human?
Extraterrestrial, perhaps? Yes.
Do you feel that there's something about you that makes it work? It's kind of like you have some kind of talent as a medium, and that's how they can work with you.
No, I don't think so. I think that what they need, it is no special ability from us. They don't want it to depend on us. By the opposite, they wanted to make transmissions by them own. So I think that what they need from us is not mediumistic abilities, but honesty, seriousness, dedication, determination. These will count. And so they can trust you, because obviously the information that we leave after death is something that can perhaps change the world. And they have to work with serious people, honest, that will not use these for any wrong purpose. So I think that all they need from us is no special abilities, but seriousness, dedication, just that.
I disagree with Sonia on that, because I think that those are such important qualities that she has that are what qualify you. Yeah, are we like the greatest mediums in the world? No, we understand where the technology is working with us, but they don't work with everybody like that. I've spent a lot of time playing with images, and I have some okay images, but I think they work with you because of who you are. And maybe even we don't know in past lives what work you've already done, why you're all so connected to Tesla and Radava. We don't know the bigger picture or the Akashic record, but I think there's more to it than you credit yourself for. Because Other people do try, Sonia, and and look, and I don't even understand my success at all. I've just been so lucky. I would have never had your patience to wait as long or try as hard. And it just seems like, for whatever reasons, we're very fortunate, but I think that we also really care and really want to help. And I think that they know that. And maybe me and Mr. Edwards have been involved in the healing thing since he helped me in 1970. But I think there's more to it than you credit yourself.
Maybe.
So if somebody wanted to do this themselves, do you have advice for them? Is there somewhere they can go on a website and look up how to do it?
Well, it's kind of the Sonia method that gets laid out there, but at my website, which is just sherrypearl.com, that's SHERIPERL, there is a page that says EVP slideshow. And years ago, I worked with a computer tech fella to make a step-by-step slideshow for both Macs and PCs, step-by-step, just what software to put on your computer and what sounds, some of the original gibberish files we have, a recording program, a step to save them to a file that says EVP audio. So that if they follow that, they can get configured to record EVPs. And then there's a video further down, a YouTube video that demonstrates for them that I made showing how to use Audacity, which is the program we record on, how to save something, highlight it, listen to it. So it's kind of right there at my website. As for images, we don't really have a step-by-step thing laid out anywhere, but we should do that somewhere down the line. I mean, just do, a short thing of you just saying, well, we set up our equipment. We can do it in Albany if we're there, I'll bring up a diffuser, set up our steam, put on a little light, make a recording, and then we can show that to people. But for EVP, there are instructions at my site, and it's a free download. The software we chose is free, so it's not going to cost anyone an arm and a leg.
Cut the commute and up the convenience for your next dermatologist visit. Non-segmental vitiligo patients 12 and older can virtually discuss repigmentation with Opzelura ruxolitinib cream as soon as today. Get started on your pursuit for repigmentation with topical Opzelura. Visit Opzelura.com to connect with a derm to see if Opzelura is right for you. Provider availability may vary. For patients taking therapeutic biologics, other JAK inhibitors, or strong immunosuppressants such as cyclosporin, Opzelura is not recommended.
Opzelura can lower your ability to fight infections. Tell your doctor if you have or had an infection, TB, hepatitis B or C, blood clots in your legs or lungs, heart attack, stroke, cancer, high cholesterol, are a smoker, or pregnant. Opzelura may cause serious lung infections, certain cancers, immune system problems, blood clots, and low blood cell counts. Major cardiovascular events or death occurred in those 50 plus taking oral JAK inhibitors. The most common side effects were acne and itching where applied.
Call 866-564-8484 to learn more about prescription Opzelura for non-segmental vitiligo.
Sweetheart, what about this one?
Nah, fam. That's a little sus.
Shopping with teenagers can be hard, between figuring out what they like and what they mean. But with Walmart, at least shopping for their next pair of glasses is easy. With the Walmart app, you can virtually try on frames at home, upload prescriptions, and get new glasses delivered right to your door. It's an easier way to get stylish glasses they'll actually like.
Now these new glasses, total vibes.
Buying new glasses has a new look. Welcome to your Walmart. Valid prescription required.
You will be like God.
Human unity, God was severed, and through it all, God's promise remained true.
Follow me, Abram, and I will make you great.
This is the chosen people. Listen to The Chosen People at thechosenpeople.com. That's thechosenpeople.com.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Sign up for Greenlight today at greenlight.com/podcast.
And is it a thing where you record, you would say to people, you got to be determined and persistent. It's not going to come up in the first 30 seconds.
Well, you never know for someone what will happen, but I think in general, they're going to get that point. You just, you record and you listen, and initially you're like, this sounds like a bunch of nonsense. And if you don't stick with it, your ear has to be able to learn how to hear it too. Because it comes in a little differently, a different syntax, and then you eventually begin to get into a rhythm where you just, and then once I hear it and I write the words out, people go, oh, I hear that now. Yeah. But their ear didn't get it right away. So it takes, I guess, I probably said something to those lines that the instructions are there if they want them, and Sonia and I are more than happy to answer an email and say, well, try this, try that, but I have found, I know in my end, and I think Sonia and hers too, very few people really want to get their hands wet. They'll just say to me, thanks, Sherry. If you hear from my kid, let me know. And, they'll get a reading and they'll love it. They might want another in 6 months. But they don't really. Have you found a lot of people want to dive in and do the images? They don't. They want you to do it. They're a little, either they're scared of it or they don't want the work. I don't know what it is. But the amount of people who've actually tried to learn to do EVP, Karen and I used to hold a little Zoom thing to teach people and all. You could count them on one hand. I don't know. We love it.
There's the documentary, isn't there, Rinaldi, and that's on Amazon, isn't it? And people can see your techniques with the video creation there.
I don't know if it is at Amazon for US. It is Amazon for Europe, perhaps. But yes, the documentary, and I think it is easy to find it. And I recorded with the video crew that was here. So they were filming me to film it. So you can perceive how I was working. And it was an amazing day because the video producer, Robert Lyon, he chose 2 American ladies for testing for the documentary. And then he was here and I contacted the 2 ladies and we were talking and recording for them. And it happened in real time. So it is well documented in the documentary.
And Dan Drazen's films too, to your audience. Dan Drazen has his films on YouTube now. One is called Calling Earth. It is the best documentary describing what EVP that I've ever seen. And then he has another one called Skull, the Afterlife Experiments. And he was allowed to film these 4 mediums, 2 couples in Skull, England, who brought through independent direct voice, the kind of stuff that only happens with what we call physical mediumship, apports that drop in from other realms. Awesome film. So you may very want to let your audience know if they go to YouTube and look up Daniel Drazen, Calling Earth, or Skull, the Afterlife Experiments. They are both phenomenal films.
And when you get the pictures that come through, they kind of look like photographs, don't they? Do you ever have the faces moving and maybe blinking or smiling?
Yeah, sometimes yes. But I think that the phenomenon that they are trying more is to bring scenes of the past of the loved one, which is obviously unexpected for the family. They are not expecting to see your father as a little boy. And still the family will go behind the photos and compare and say, oh, really, it's my father. But all this is things that they are testing. Nothing is definitive yet. We are in the beginning, let's say.
And can people contact you through your website and ask you to do this stuff?
They can. My husband passed 6 months ago. I mean, there was a time when I was so excited I could do this. I did them back to back. And I just would finish one and I would contact another parent that wanted them. I can't put in the amount of hours right now, just auditing. So I only do a couple a month, and I have this group that meets once a month. And I'm just putting together the transcript and the clips for them. But people can contact me. My email address is on the website. If I can make time for them, I will. I don't have any mandatory fee, so they can all afford me. If people want to make a donation, I'm certainly willing to accept it, but I make no mandatory fee. But I've had to control saying yes, because I'm just getting the patience and the enjoyment again. I mean, for a while, it seemed more like work than enjoyment, where it used to just be like, oh, another one. Oh, that's so cool. So I'm getting back to that and grateful for the work, actually. It's helping me.
Well, it's been great talking to both of you. Thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. It's been really fascinating.
Yeah, we loved it.
So this week I was talking to Sherry Pearl and Sonia Rinaldi about their work in spirit communication, where they bring through recorded messages and pictures of spirits. A great way to support the podcast is to join Patreon. When you subscribe for $6 a month, you get exclusive access to an extended episode every week. For $3 a month, you get access to an extended episode every month. And you can now sign up for a 7-day free trial. The Patreon episodes are ad-free and are released 2 days before the free versions. And please check out my other podcast. It's called the Alien UFO Podcast, and I release new episodes every Monday. And you can find it on almost every podcast app. I've also have a tier in the Our Paranormal Afterlife Patreon campaign, where for $13.50 a month, you can get the Alien UFO Podcast extended episodes every week, as well as the Our Paranormal Afterlife extended episodes. Including the Alien UFO Podcast episodes, there are now more than 100 extended episodes available in the back catalogue. You can become a patron by going to patreon.com/Our Paranormal Afterlife, or click on the Patreon button on my homepage at pastliveshypnosis.co.uk. The links are in the show notes. And if you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or via your favourite podcast app to make sure that you don't miss out on any episodes. And thanks for listening.
Cut the commute and up the convenience for your next dermatologist visit. Non-segmental vitiligo patients 12 and older can virtually discuss repigmentation with Opzelura ruxolitinib cream as soon as today. Get started on your pursuit for repigmentation with topical Opzelura. Visit Opzelura.com to connect with a derm to see if Opzelura is right for you. Provider availability may vary. For patients taking therapeutic biologics, other JAK inhibitors, or strong immunosuppressants such as cyclosporin, Opzelura is not recommended.
Opzelura can lower your ability to fight infections. Tell your doctor if you have or had an infection, TB, hepatitis B or C, blood clots in your legs or lungs, heart attack, stroke, cancer, high cholesterol, are a smoker, or pregnant. Opzelura may cause serious lung infections, certain cancers, immune system problems, blood clots, and low blood cell counts. Major cardiovascular events or death occurred in those 50 plus taking oral JAK inhibitors. The most common side effects were acne and itching where applied.
Call 866-564-8484 to learn more about prescription Opzelura for non-segmental vitiligo.
Sweetheart, what about this one?
Nah, fam. That's a little sus.
Shopping with teenagers can be hard, between figuring out what they like and what they mean. But with Walmart, at least shopping for their next pair of glasses is easy. With the Walmart app, you can virtually try on frames at home, upload prescriptions, and get new glasses delivered right to your door. It's an easier way to get stylish glasses they'll actually like.
Now these new glasses, total vibes.
Buying new glasses has a new look. Welcome to your Walmart. Valid prescription required.
You will be like God.
Human unity, God was severed. And through it all, God's promise remained true.
Follow me, Abram, and I will make you great.
This is the chosen people. Listen to The Chosen People at thechosenpeople.com. That's thechosenpeople.com.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Sign up for Greenlight today at greenlight.com/podcast.